What's up, everybody? It's your main man, Ken, 3 times, and today we have a very special interview. Yes, I'm back at it again with another interview with you guys. Haven't interviewed someone in a very long time, but it feels great for me to finally interview people again. But today we're interviewing actually like a really good friend of mine. This is Ultra Beezy, and this is the Ultra Beezy interview. And yeah, without further ado, let's have our special guest introduce himself and see what it's all about.
Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Ultra Beezy, but you guys can just call me Beezy for short. Um, Hope you're doing good, Ken.
Yeah, I'm doing swell. Thank you for asking. But yeah. So I feel like it wouldn't be any due justice for me to really say it. Tell us about yourself. What is your occupation? What do you do on social media? Like, what are you trying to represent right now on social media right now?
All right, so currently I am a artist and a producer. But I also dibble and dabble. Well, not really dibble and dabble, but I also have some. I don't know if you say expertise, but I'm kind of. I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to say it, but spiritual, and so a lot of my content is kind of dealing with healing. The music side is more sound healing, and then outside of the music, it's more healing through just the messages that I get from the divine, and um, whatever I just feel kind of pulled to say, because I feel like we're all living an experience here, and so it's like I just feel like I can be able to help people understand how to navigate through this earthly experience. So yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
So your main value, you say it would be next to him, is healing, right? So could you like expound more upon what type of healing you do, like what healing looks like to you? How do you know you've healed someone? And most importantly, like what do you think people need to be healed from necessarily?
Okay, so I'll do the first question first. Um, so like I said, mine's is my at least my area of expertise with the healing, or that I see as most useful is kind of through sound healing. Because if you think about it, right, the same way that I'm talking right now, that's a vibration that's coming from my throat, my voice box. But it's also the same way that you have a receptors in your ears that take in that vibration and process it as sound, as you hear sound. It's all frequencies and vibration though. So it's like that's my biggest thing. So whether I'm singing or talking to people, that's like my way of doing my healing. And some things I may say people may not get it, or it may not hit them at first. So it's kind of like when you say certain things and people are not hearing it, but then maybe later they think about what you said later down the line, because things that we hear, things that we see goes into our subconscious mind. And, that's the biggest part that needs to really be healed is the subconscious, right? Clearing out a lot of those things that has been put on us, whether that's been from childhood or um, relationships or any type of trauma that really kind of, imprinted something on you that you had to be, or, that's how it will be, or that this is how you have to respond, it's how you have to act. So, it's just really kind of getting to that part of healing ourselves. And so the best way that I am able to do my work is by having kind of like one-on-one conversations with people. Sometimes it doesn't have to be one-on-one, but I've seen that more of the one-on-one conversations is what kind of hits people harder because they don't have. You think about why would you want to talk about kind of what you're feeling or what you're going through, especially in this society, right, in front of everyone, because everyone's going to be judging you, everyone's going to be feeling away, and then the person that's getting that advice or putting their being vulnerable, as you would say, they may not say the whole truth of everything they're experiencing because of their environment or because who's watching. But I realized that like within more one-on-ones that I have, sessions that I have with people, or just regular talking with certain people, that's when they come out of more of their shell, or that's when they um I can allow them to see more deeper parts of themselves that they may hide from for everyone else. um and I think that that's kind of the thing that a lot of us have to get to a point of understanding that you can be yourself authentically, and it's okay to also have your privacy. You it's okay to be a little mysterious, Um, but learning to just really be authentic with yourself though first, and then moving outwards towards people, places, and things. And so yeah.
Beautiful. So, how does a typical one-on-one session with BZ go? I know that, but I explain kind of like how to the audience
Yeah.
if they were to like book a session, which I hope they do. I hope this interview gives you a lot of traction. Like, how would you say like a one-on-one session would probably occur and go through? Like, what's like a typical format or a typical way it goes?
Okay. So majority of the time, and it's not see, and that's the thing I will say, it's not the same every time because sometimes I'll get messages before I talk to someone, or sometimes it'll be kind of like when I initially make the contact, or I'll just feel certain things maybe that people are experiencing or going through, and that kind of prompts me before I even get into interacting with these people or beings, as I'll say. You know, I'll pick up on certain things. Now, usually when we go into um, I don't know. Sometimes I call it readings, but I don't really have to call it reading. It's just sessions, I guess you'll say. We'll kind of just look at a lot of the things that may be in the forefront that may be taking you away from your energy, or the things that are really kind of like draining you or bothering you or just not making you feel like you're 100% yourself. And that's why I said that's where that thing comes in about how, when we're around other people or certain environments, we don't really see a lot of that, right? So sometimes we have to be asked like certain questions, and that's my specialty. It's certain questions that I'm guided to ask people. And that is what initially brings out a lot of what is hidden within them. Or it's kind of like when somebody gives you a new perspective on something, you're like, wow, I never thought about it like that. But it's in question form, there may be certain questions that you never asked yourself, or you never had anyone really kind of, sit down and ask you, that's going to prompt you to kind of go deeper versus then being surface of just like, oh, I think this, think that. No, you're going to have to get in tune with like really what you're feeling within what you're experiencing. And that's what's going to be the biggest thing um, that allows me to really be able to connect with you. It's that vulnerability that you also have to have with yourself, And I'll tell people all the time, like, you don't have to be nervous, like, with things that you tell me, because um, a lot of times, like I said, everything that is said within the session is kept within the session. I don't want to call it like therapy, but how therapists, they keep everything between
Confidential.
one on one. It's very confidential.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, so I always just let people know, like if I could, especially if I could tell where people are like trying to hesitate, or if there's certain things that they're a little bit on the fence about, I definitely let them know, like, this is a safe space. You don't have to feel pressure to say anything as well, but you also can know that, but if you're not going to be honest, then it's not really going to be able to work. Because, some people, they like to just say, they're not really saying their full truth, right? And it's because maybe they are feeling a bit, they're just not at that point yet. And and I've had sessions like that, and I'll tell people like it's okay, like I've even had certain times where like I didn't get to finish the session, so I've definitely just kind of let people like, whenever you're ready. And you have to give people that, because you don't want to force people to like, into this space of healing, because people have to be ready, people have to be willing to experience that. And that's one thing I say, like, I bring up the truth. I'm not a sugarcoater. I'm not going to just say things make you feel better. We're going to look at the actual problems, get down to it, and look at ways that we can move forward with the healing, or things that you can do to implement these changes so that you can start experiencing a change, or you can start experiencing this, um, just a better experience on this earth. So, yeah.
Hmm. Very beautiful. And how would you say is the best way someone could be true and authentic to themselves? Because you're obviously someone who's very true and authentic to who you are. So how do you do it? What would you be your advice to somebody who is having struggles being authentic to who they are as people?
Okay. Um, Hmm. Okay, so this is the great wow, this is a really great question, because I've recently been doing a lot of self work to kind of get myself back to this point of being very authentic. Um the first thing I'll definitely say is accepting yourself, like, truly, Um that could be accepting yourself for your flaw, like the, and I'm gonna say the bad things first because a lot of times that's what we beat ourselves up about. We have self guilt about who we become or who we are, and so we tend to not really put love within ourselves because we're, oh well, I'm only this person. We limit ourselves. We have this limiting belief of who we are. So you have to break free of that, and a lot of that is subconscious. So it's kind of like the things that you tell yourself, that negative self talk space that you have. People don't realize every time you put yourself down mentally, that's going into your subconscious, and that's what it shifts and makes. Well, that's who it shifts, and that's who you become. That version that you've been calling yourself or telling yourself or putting yourself down to be. So it starts definitely with accepting the parts of yourself that you, I guess you would say, quote unquote, hate, and just understand that, but I have other parts that are good though too. So it's also about realizing the good and the bad within who you are. That's one. The second way I would say is just finding things that make you you, or do things that you feel like make you you. And this could be from um like how I do music. I do music, so that's kind of like my expression of how I express myself. Um, but there's different ways people can do things that's artistic, or you can do things also that um, are out of the norm that people would frown upon. Now, the thing about that is when you're going into that, it is going to take you getting over the fears of what people would say, because a lot of times, we, like I said, we hold ourselves back because of that judgment. But if you're grounded, so this is where I would say more of like root chakra healing, you ground yourself within who you are, within that security of yourself, so that you're not looking for the approval of others, and you're not having those fears that you're not going to be good enough, or having those fears that you're not even somebody. You have to get over a lot of those self-imposed, like the self-imposed negative, but then also the fears that come with, if I put myself out there, if I am this person, if I am like this, so it's definitely grounding yourself. So I would say rooting for the second one to clear out a lot of those fears. And the last one, wow, the last one has been a struggle for me, and I've been working on this as well, doing it more. Um, and I kind of mentioned this to you, Ken, as well, about the questions, you know, getting answers for. So it's kind of like you ask yourself, like, why do I not feel that I can be like me? Why do I not feel like I can be authentic? Or like, what is even authentic to me? You have to ask yourself these questions so that you find the answers. Because a lot of times, like I said, you're not. That's the part of it. It's about doing that inner work. Sitting with yourself, disconnected from the reality, and getting in tune with you, because the more you get in tune with who you are, honestly, the more you fall in love with that person. So then when you go out there to the world, you don't have those fears about who you are, and you don't have that doubt or that judgment, because you're secure and you love that version of yourself that you have become or created, because you can create versions of yourself as well. But it does come with putting in work to do so. Like I said, part of it is meditating, part of it can be self-talk work, like having more affirmations or looking yourself in the mirror and kind of like hyping yourself up, as they'll say, instead of beating yourself down. So doing the opposite of a lot of the negative things that you would do, and shifting it to more of a positive aspect. And I know a lot of people think like, oh, well, positivity is just not going to save you. But that's why I said it's also about doing the inner work. Because that's one half of it, the shifting that energy into something positive. But then the other half is truly doing the inner work, truly looking at yourself, reflecting, and having those deep moments where you bring up a lot of those truths, like I said. And it's going to be hard. It's the healing journey was never meant to be easy, but and that's how when it's getting a little hard, and you have those moments where you're by yourself and you're sad about how things are going. A lot of times it's not for you to be sad and you just be down. It's supposed to be for that moment of you be by yourself and really reflect, really think about all the things, even think about, why did you even get to that point of being sad? Like, what was it that even brought me to this point of feeling like, man, like I'm not good enough, or man, like, whatever. It doesn't have to be anything specific, because everyone is dealing with different struggles. Everyone is dealing with different things that um that takes them away from who they truly are. And I'll say this last thing, and this is my last thing I'll say. Even for the people who don't know who they truly are, that's still a thing that you can discover. And that's the part of where the self discovery comes in, right? Taking more time to understand you, taking more time to learn you, learn yourself, even looking at the things you do, whether that be behavior patterns, the way you love, the way you speak to people, the way you treat people, looking at all those things and assessing it, not changing it yet, but assessing it. So it's kind of like when you assess a situation before you go in and start making changes. You have to view who you are before you try to change something. Because let's say you try to change something based off of looking at how another person is, you're not looking at yourself. So you don't really know that may not be something that you need to change, but there's something that you want to change because they changed it or they're working on, but it has to be about you. Otherwise, and that, so crazy I'm talking about this again because I was literally just talking about this, I think, on Twitter the other day about how if you're changing for someone else, it won't really mean anything because you may never get to the point of someone else. But if you're really changing and trying to be better for yourself, that's gonna last forever because it's for you. It's not for someone else. Because then if you're doing it for somebody else, you're gonna be looking for that approval of like, hey, am I like you? Hey, am I at that point that you're at? And it's not supposed to be about that. It's supposed to be about your own, your own, being in your own, creating your own. And it's tough. Like I said, it's not something that's easy, but it's something that can be done. So it's kind of like the energy of like, how bad do you really want it? How bad do you want to be yourself? How bad do you want to be um your own light? You know, how bad do you really want to be a person that you can truly love to put out there? Because that's the thing. Once you love yourself and you love who you are becoming, what do you think other people are going to do? They're going to see you loving yourself. They're going to see you loving who you become. They're going to see you confident in this version of yourself that you created. And that's going to inspire them. Not everyone. And you shouldn't do it just to inspire people, but it's about having that confidence and knowing that like, but one day I may meet someone, or one day people are going to, or somehow some people are going to see where I'm at and they're going to wonder like, what did he do? Or what did she do? So we're all going to have a story about our healing, and it's not going to happen the same. And that's one thing I want people to be open to. Be open to the ways that you can heal. Be open to the ways that you can change from this old version of yourself. And don't limit how far you can go. Don't limit how much you can heal, because the healing is infinite. We never stop healing. You know, we may get to a point where we have healed over something, but then we may experience something else that puts us in a place where we have to heal over it. So healing's going to be going on for the rest of our lives. So let's embrace it and love it, so that we can become these high version of ourselves. So, yeah.
Very beautiful. So I have about three more questions, and then I'm about to wrap it up. But my next question is this: it seems to me like, for what I've taken away from the interview, that identity is a very important part of your value as a person. Where do you think it all started for you, and where identity became like such an integral part of your journey, and identity became like an integral part of like almost like that solar plexus energy, like that identification part. Like, why do you think that's such an? I remember
Yeah.
you were telling me that you get told by a lot of people that your aura is yellow too, right? So, um,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
where do you think it started for you, and how do you think it's remained consistent with you that identity is like a part of what you value and a part of what you try to tackle with an individual?
Okay. This is another great question. And I'm going to get really raw and honest with you guys because I understand that this is something that obviously I'm a human too, just like you guys are. And I want you guys to remember that I was trying to be somebody, and I don't even know who the fuck I was trying to be. I'm sorry if I didn't mean to get too explicit, but I had to go there because that's how deep I was in of trying to be whoever I thought I needed to be around people, or whoever I thought I needed to be to please myself, right? But I was only trying to please my ego of who I thought I should be for people or who people accept me as. So that goes back to that part what I was saying about, trying to only capping yourself out because it's like, well, dang, of that judgment. So it started with me not even knowing who I was, or trying to be someone that I thought was me. But then it took me meeting people and experiencing different people who did me wrong still, even while I was trying to be a particular person, where I thought that that was the best person that I was supposed to be, or I was supposed to be a pleaser, I was supposed to be just this person that was always there. But I realized that I was losing myself within trying to be a certain person. I wasn't really fully who I was. And it did take me getting abandoned by certain people to truly come to a place where I had to really be alone, like truly be alone. Like I was alone for so many months, like no friends. Like I mean, I had family, but it wasn't like I was even wanting to confide in my family about what I was going through because it was something that I already knew that they would never understand. You know, they're probably just gonna be like, "Oh, get over it. It's just a friend. It's just this." But for me, it's literally what started me on my spiritual journey. It was that abandonment of a person that I had very, very deep love for. And through that process, I had to really get to a point and understand. And that was the self discovery, you know, me looking at, I remember I wrote a list, like my bad habits, good habits, and things that I want to like either get better at, or it was something like that. And that was like the first step, and like really truly looking at myself and getting into my identity of like who I was and like how I was and how I acted and how I showed up. And I got to see a lot of parts of myself that I didn't like, and that was the hard part too, getting over that. And that's the hardest part, when you really have to leave behind parts of yourself that you thought you were. And and that's the thing, when you start changing, you start finding more of your true identity, you're going to lose a lot of people because they're going to only resonate with versions of you that don't exist anymore, or they'll resonate with. It's kind of like when you don't see a person for a long time and they think that you're the same, but you've done so much work on yourself. So it's like your identity has shifted from a person that used to be a pleaser and always a giver to a person now who has respect and love for themselves, and they monitor how much they give. And I don't want to say monitor, but you care about how much you give, because you care also about how much you give to yourself. So and so with the identity, it also came from me having to have love for myself, love for who I was becoming, or love for, like I said, because at first I didn't know. I was always trying to create versions of myself that I thought I loved, or I thought people would love, like the person who always made jokes, or the person who had a slick mouth and always talked shit about other people. I thought that was, I mean, it would make people laugh and stuff, but it really wasn't what was I felt was my true who I was. It was just who I was trying to be for people to be, for people to like me. But as time went on, I continually. Oh, I left out the whole part how music was also, because that was really part of my identity as well. Like I said, that became my self expression, which is, I have, which is where I believe now and I see now, and I'm really into my identity to believe that my two strongest points is my solar plexus and my throat chakra. So the solar plexus within my identity, and then my throat chakra with me being able to express that identity of who I am. And it's just been such a beautiful journey. Like, I had to take you guys back to the start, because I could have just said something about like, oh well, I found it later in life, but no, I have to go back to the source of when all I was going through all of this negativity, or I was going through all of this people pleasing and trying to be a particular person, where I literally had to see that that wasn't really who I really resonated with. Yeah, it was to have those. I resonate with that version of myself to keep those people around. But then when those people were gone, it was like I was left with this version of myself that, like, I was like, damn. But like, like, I realized like it was certain parts that I was like, bro, I don't even know like who I can really be this person for, because they're not here anymore. So it's like, even now looking back at that and saying it and explaining it to you guys, it's like it hits me so hard, because it's like, wow, like I really have changed a lot. I really have become more into my own person, and not really caring about, you know, not purposely hurting people, but not really caring who I hurt in the process of me changing myself. And that's another thing. I had to really get over that fear of like who I was going to become, how people were going to see me. And this is how I knew I was really healing, because I got to a point where I was like, I would know that I was about to make a change. And I was like, I know people ain't gonna like this. But I was like, but this something I got to do. So I always prepare myself for the negative talk, or I always prepare myself for the people that would be like, oh, you changed, or you're not the same. I always prepared myself for that, because I knew that when making the changes that I'm making, people are going to not resonate with me anymore, because, like I said, they're associated to an older version that doesn't exist. So yeah, they're gonna hate who I become at first, and they're not gonna agree with it, and oh, you've changed, you're not the same. And it's like, well, we're not supposed to always stay the same, you know? We're supposed to do the healing to get better, to become better, you know? And that's also a reflection moment for us to see other people's identity of who they're, or like, the versions of themselves that they're still stuck in, you know? Maybe they may still be stuck in a lower version, or they may still be stuck deeply in the ego, right? So their identity is fused together with who they were brought up and taught to be, and then the people that they're around that quote unquote inspire them. And I put quote unquote because it's like, if you're becoming someone else based off of their bad habits and based off their bad traits, is that really inspiring, or is that just you copying, becoming another, as we'll like to call it these days, becoming a clone of someone? And that's just something that I never resonated with doing, which is cloning myself to be another person. I've always been authentically myself and authentically me. And over these years, I've definitely discovered more of that, But like I said, it's also that work though that I had to do in the beginning of like taking that time to be away from people to really see who I was for myself. And that's the biggest part, learning your identity through being you, who you are by yourself, Like I talk to myself a lot. And it's definitely a self-talk thing, but like even today before I got on, like I was kind of just, having a conversation with myself about like some recent things that haven't been bothering me, but it's subconscious, and I know it is because consciously I don't really think about it, but it is moments that I consciously, subconsciously, like review it, or like it's a thing that comes up at specific times that I'm like, okay, uh, you know, but I'm better though. And because see now I'm in tune with my identity, I can have those conversations with myself and know that okay, the person and that's so crazy too. Even this year I've changed so much within these past two situations with these people that I've dealt with. Um, I've learned so much about myself and my identity of who I thought I was still. So that's the thing. Your identity is always going to be growing and evolving with you because you learn to truly be in tune with who you are to a degree where you notice changes where you're shifting and in someone else's energy and trying to cater or become. It's just certain things. It's hard to really explain on that part. I don't want to get too deep with that, because I can go on for days. That's that my throat chakras. Man, I can go forever. But no, seriously, it definitely starts with you discovering yourself and you getting into that space where you can truly be um like by yourself or like one with yourself, really getting in tune with the you, learning you, seeing you, whether that's really looking at in yourself more in the mirror and just staring at yourself, and or if that's just really having like a long time where you're not really surrounding yourself with people, because you gotta think when you're surrounding yourself with all these people, when do you have time for yourself? Yeah, when you come home and go to bed, or yeah, when you're like scrolling on the phone, but when do you ever really disconnect to truly see who you are? When do you ever truly put you in front of you to look at you? And that's the biggest thing that I had to do to really find my identity. And I'm so glad that I did because now I can help other people find that in themselves and become authentic, and not only authentic, but truly love that version of themselves that they are becoming or that they are creating.
For sure, man, for sure. So it's because of you going through this whole arc of you finding yourself that it made you think that hey, I want to help people find themselves too. Is what you're saying. It's like,
Absolutely.
okay. Moving on to the last two questions.
Such a great way put.
So moving on to the last two questions. Uh, what? So we're almost done the first half of 2024. What do you think is your predictions, and what do you think is your insight that you're gonna get for the next half of 2024? And how has 2024 been for you so far as well?
Y'all I almost got 3D on y'all. Well, I'm gonna say it anyway. Y'all get to the money, please. That's so
Gotta
funny. But
chase a
no,
bag, bro.
no, but seriously.
Yo, real shit, bro.
No,
Gotta
no,
chase a
but
bag.
no, seriously. And the only reason why I'm saying this is like, because the thing is, like, you don't have to become it's about not really falling too deep and coming obsessed and just being too deep within the materials. Like, we need it to be here, So it's about balancing out that. But the reason why I said that is because it's the action that I'm putting into my reality now. So it's the action that we're going to be putting in to make these changes. The same way everything I just talked about is stuff that you guys can imply, right? But it's going to be the action. Are you going to do it? Or are you just going to listen and hear it and then let it be in your brain, but then don't do it? So that's the part that I've so far this year, first half had to realize. Now the other half, I'm putting the action in. So definitely within 6 months by December, like I said, like I made a comment about the money. Like a lot of the things that I've been wanting, but didn't put myself. So it's kind of like a lot of things that I was thinking about, all the things I wanted to do. I wasn't doing it before, but now I am, and I'm seeing that like because I'm putting the action into these things that I'm thinking about that I want to do, or these ideas that I have, it's literally manifesting. It's literally happening before my eyes. Like I literally before I got on here, and it's crazy we're doing an interview, right? I literally had an interview before, and I had an interview this morning, and then I got another one Friday. So it's like just out of me putting action into things that I really wanted, um, which was like I said, as Ken knows, I do have a project coming up as well. It's gonna be called "Was It Love," and it's gonna be my first like official project. I'm calling it an album, but I'm saying project because it sounds better. But it's really gonna be my first album,
Your
and
debut.
you know, I need the
Yeah.
funds. I need the funds to be able to do this. And so the universe definitely has aligned me with the opportunity to get a lot of things in place, And but it's because I've been taking that action, So that's why I said for the rest of the year it's gonna be action, action, action. What I can do, taking control of what you can do, healing ourselves, that's something that we can control and we can take action on doing, right? But it has to start with us taking the action. You could think about how you want to be better all day, but if you're not putting in the that work, that action, you will never change. You will only think about how better you can be, but you'll stay the same.
That's
And would
true.
you want to think about how you want to be, or would you want to live how you're thinking you want to be? And that's going to be the reflection moment for a lot of people. Am I really doing the most that I can, or am I just doing a little bit? And the little bit is only keeping you comfortable with who you are, versus the really doing the work is really going to put you into a whole different reality of who you never thought you would become. And that's what's going to be so of that turning point moment when you start seeing like, dang, like the life I thought that I would never, or like the point I thought I would never be at, like I'm at. I'm doing a lot of these things that I said I wanted to do, and that was one thing Ken to tell you. Like this whole year, I've come and I've been talking to him about this like a lot. Like this year, a lot of things that I had on my 2024 to do list, they're like half marked off. Like I'm literally having to come up with more things now because a lot of the things that I said I would do, I'm doing it. And but like yeah, it did take a good 4 months of the first of the year for me to go through situations with people to realize that like I wasn't doing enough, or I was at the same like I realized I had a whole point where I realized like I wasn't even really doing what I said I was gonna do with certain things, and it was a real big reflection moment where I had to really sit with myself and really review and be like, okay, now you said all this stuff, right? And I did beat myself up a little bit. I'm not gonna cap. I did beat myself up a little bit, but it was in that moment of me beating myself up that I had to realize that like, okay, but that means that you're staying a certain way, that you're not really evolving because you're staying at this version, like a certain version I healed to. But it took me going through that situation with that person to show me that, okay, but now it's time for you to take action. Like now it's time for you to really take control of this life that you want to create. Like I've done a lot of work before, but that's the thing. That's why I said we're constantly evolving into different versions and higher versions of ourselves. But a lot of times we lose sight of that because we get capped out at a certain version and we get comfortable. And so we think like, okay, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? So I should be okay. I should be good. But then sometimes you go through certain situations that force you. You meet certain people that push you, or and I don't say push you, and sometimes it's not going to be a good push. Sometimes it's going to push you into a state of mind where you have to look at everything. So I ain't gonna lie, I was a little sad when I went through that period of looking about how far I didn't go, because I was also looking at how far that relationship didn't go, and I was like, dang, like I didn't take action to like really do better with this. But then I also, it's literally it was a flip. It was literally like I was thinking about how didn't take action to make this relationship really something more. And then I had a whole like 180 view of like, and then look, I'm still at the same point I am, but like I said, I was gonna be doing this. I'm not having did that, and I let things slip, and that's where it was that true moment of like taking the action. I had to realize like, okay, it's game time, and I had to say it like it's game time, but that's kind of how I felt. Like I had to really start putting more energy and more time into these things I wanted to do for myself and create and get done. And once I did it, so I guess you can't say it was a mindset thing, but it's part mindset, but it's part trusting where things are gonna go. And with this year, it's like this is the year of the eight, and that was always something that I think over time kept coming up for me was the eighth, and I think even like with my birthday, I don't want to be too. I don't want to say. Anyways, it's the year to eight. I was gonna just make a comment about how I think my birthday this year. I think it did align with the number eight. So I also had that. That was also pushing me to do more. To actually just like no, like I'm really gonna do it. Like this is the year. And I remember a particular conversation. And this is the last thing I'll say. I remember having a particular conversation with a friend about last year, and I remember him making a statement about how he felt like, lat 2023 was like 2019 all over again. And I remember literally the next year in 2020, that's when like a lot of good things happened for me. It came with a price of a it came at a price. It did come with a sacrifice, meaning like there were certain things that I had to lose and I had to like give up. But around the same time that it is now, I literally remember like getting my first vehicle, being able to like, have enough money to buy me a new MacBook for my music stuff. And it's like literally coming full circle again to this moment of remembering that there was like last year was 2019. So for me, this year is like 2020. So, and now looking at it's about to be July, and that was July when it happened back then. So the energy that I've been in now is just kind of believing more in everything that is unfolding, you know, and knowing that I deserve it because I have went through so much. I have, um, there has been so much that I accepted that I had to go through. A lot of times that I was not in a position, but then now I'm in a position where it's like I am believing and I am seeing, and then it is happening, and then it is feeling good, and it's getting back to this place of true peace. And that's where I was supposed to be at all along, you know? That's where we're always supposed to, well, that's where our soul energy is supposed to be at, peace. Of course, being in this reality, we're gonna always get pulled back down to the lower emotions that's here, right? But that's why I said it's important about grounding yourself down, root chakra. So going and get nature or listening to root chakra frequencies or getting root chakra reiki done, and just making sure that you're really grounded here in your vessel, so that you don't be succumb to a lot of the energies that are here that are more low vibrational that are meant for you to fail, that literally encourage you to fail if you really think about it. But it's about you overcoming what the world wants and thinking about what is that you want for yourself, and where do you want to go with that, how do you want to go with that. And when you're ready to move, the universe is definitely gonna align a lot of things for you, and then that's what's really gonna help you really build more of that belief too, that okay, things are happening in my favor. I just had to kind of see it versus then looking at it in a negative mindset of that, damn, it's always happening to me. No, it's happening for you. So it's also, like I said, so it is a mindset thing as well that we're going to be working on this year. And I say we because I am a part of you guys too. I am humans as well. Well, I am human. I am a human as well. So I understand that, we're constantly, like I said, we're getting better. We're constantly being challenged and we're constantly moving forward. But remember, it's about the action that you take with these things that you are thinking about or these ideas that you get about your life. So just remember for the next 6 months, the rest of the year, action, action, action. Take a break when you need to, because that's where you're gonna be in tune with your vessel. Because you'll know when your vessel is tired, your vessel need to rest, your vessel need to rejuvenate. Respect that, because when your vessel is at its full capacity, action, action, action. You're gonna go, and you're gonna see it, and you're gonna feel it, and that's the thing. See, solar plexus energy. That's where your willpower comes from. That's where your will, your doing, your action. So and I've been learning, studying about this. Okay, this really is the last thing I'll say because I could go forever. But the solar plexus, um, that aura or that part, it's connected to your mental body. So you think about when you have lack of motivation, right? That's lack of mindset, lack of seeing it in your mind that you can, or seeing it in a way that can be done. So the mind in the solar plexus, and even the mind in the gut. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know it's kind of like the gut brain or something like that, where
Yeah,
it's
they're
like how
connected. They're
the things that you
interconnected.
put in your body, yeah, like the things that you put in your body can also influence the way you think or the way your mind works. So even being more conscious about the things that you're eating and putting into your body, even that for me, I mean, like I said, may only have what I have to put in my body, but sometimes I am definitely aware of like certain moments where I'm eating certain things, and I'm just like, I definitely should not be eating this right now. And sometimes I'll stop, and other times I'll just finish it, and then I'll make that mental note of the fact that this has to change though. But so we definitely have to get back to eating things that give us more positive energy versus then things that drain us. And yeah,
All right,
action,
great.
action, action.
It's crazy that you brought up your album because that was actually gonna be my last question for you. My last question for you is, could you tell us a little bit more? Could you get some like a little spill on your album? Was it love? Like I know you're super hyped to release it and it's coming out in like the next month or two. And like I just want to know if we what are some things you think you can tell us about the album without spoiling too much about it.
Okay. Um. Okay. So I guess I'll give you guys the theme because that'll put into play when you guys hear the songs. So the theme of this album is about you know letting really go of what it probably was or wasn't, because a lot of time, it's just a lot of time within this making this project, I definitely was back and forth on the fence of like, oh no, it's nothing. Oh damn, well maybe it may be something, and that's the revolving theme, and that's why the title is called "Was It Love?" Because it goes from this place of being truly and deeply in love with this person to where you wanted them to just trust the fact that how you felt was how you felt and that it could be real, all the way to the point of understanding, that it's just probably not in love's plan for this to even be. So yeah, I have all this love for you, but yet maybe it's not in love's plan for you to be the one that I truly give this love to. And so it's a strong theme, and that's why I'm really excited about this, because it's my first official project where I'm going to be putting out more than just like 5 or 6 songs. It's probably going to be about 10 to 11 songs. I'm still debating. 10 really at the what it's probably going to be, but if I feel, knowing me, I may add a bonus or something, or who knows, deluxe maybe, but I don't really do deluxes. I just kind of move on to the next project. Um, but it's just about that theme of truly just letting go and not becoming too attached to the love that you have for another person, and just really understanding that, like, if it's not meant to be, then it's not. Don't waste your time um pondering over what it was. And I'll say this, it's okay to wonder, but don't let the wonder control your forward movement, because like I said, I was definitely in a place where I was definitely wondering, like, oh, what is this? What is this? And I was so caught up more about the damn relationship than I was even my own life. And that was the reflection moment of like how far where I was at. And so that's why this project is gonna, it really means a lot to me, because I transmuted a lot of that negative energy I was feeling into songs that I literally listen to this day. And I'm just like, I get so hyped listening to it and just like, oh, I can't wait to like show people. Or I can't, like, just to even think about how people are gonna perceive it, but not in a negative way, but like in a way that's just more like, I feel confident how people are gonna perceive it. And then, when they hear the whole meaning behind it, it's just going to make so much sense about the story that's being told, from a boy who fell in love to a boy who had to just kind of walk away with so much love, because it was something, but then again, was it really love, or was it just more of an attachment I had? Was it really love, or was it more of just me really wanting it so bad, mentally. Because that's the thing, you can mentally want something, but in your heart, is that what you truly feel connected to? And that was a reflection I had to have. And so that's why this project it's going to reflect that, getting into your right mind and healing over the love, you know? And I know people like, I know it sounds kind of, even I think about it sometimes when I say like healing over the love, but sometimes we'll have love, so much love for people that we'll do anything, but sometimes like anything in a bad way, not anything in a good way. So that's where you have to really understand and respect and truly come into alignment with the respect of where something has gone, where it probably won't go, and it's kind of really keeping all the options open because, like I said, I don't want to put it heavy on just it wasn't, but then again it was, but then it was always in the confusion. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to go too long, but that was kind of like I gave you guys a little bit of the theme and two key facts. I gave you guys basically two names of two songs. I gave you the starting name of the song and the ending, the ending song that I think everyone's really gonna love. I freaking love it. I can't stop listening to it, and I'm trying to stop listening to it because I know I'm gonna hate it if I don't stop listening to it. But it's a really good song, and I'm so proud that I even decided to make this album. It really, really has changed me a lot, and really pushed me to a place of just trusting in what is and what ain't gonna be. So yeah.
For sure, man. Well, guys, there you go. There you have it. Well, I think that's a good place to let off an interview. Well, we almost went for a whole hour, and
Oh man,
yeah,
for like 30 minutes or something.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's how it feels when you spend time with people you love, and no pun intended, of course. But you know, thank you so much, BZ,
No, I love you too, man.
do you have any closing statements, any type of message? If you were to summarize this whole interview, you know what I'm saying? If you were to give one good message for the world, and if there's one message you'd like to be remembered for, what would that message be?
Don't be afraid to don't be afraid to do what you think is gonna set you back. Taking the risk, taking the chance on yourself. So don't hold back on taking the chance.
For sure.
I think that's what it's gonna be. Don't hold back on taking the chance. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, I'm glad to see. I hope we're all excited to see what BZ has to offer in his music and what he has to show to the world. You guys can subscribe to BZ's channel. Link is in the description and in the pinned comment as well. Uh, thank you guys so much for watching. Ken 3 times. BZ interview. Yeah, I'm out. Say goodbye to the audience, BD.
Peace, y'all. Much love. Love, love, love.